Hello. Right. So, I've learnt from the last one, basically, just sitting here until we see someone come on board. On the floor, because this is where we're going to do some abs. Right. Do a little bit of an ab session. Arta, hello mate. Good to see you again. So, although this is just going to be a live Q&A and I'll answer whatever comes at me, I'm going to do more of a ab type focus session here, talking about how I train my abs, what I believe is important, and how it should be done. So what I figure we'll do is I'm going to go through the different areas of the abs and what movements are best for each area, because the thing with it is it's actually not too much about what you do. As always, hello George, you right mate? So as I was saying, it's not really too much about what you do, it's the way you do it. It's always the way with exercise, how we do it. So we'll go through executing the movements properly. I divide them up into sort of top, bottom and sides. So it's at least 3 different exercises we need for that. Hello Lolly, how you doing? So looking at least getting one good exercise in for every different muscle group involved in the abs. So we need at least 3 movements. Something that involves bringing the chest down towards the belly button. Now the belly button's key to understand as being the middle of your abdominal sort of movement. So everything that involves bringing the top in to your belly button, that's what's coined as upper abs. And then everything below the belly button, bringing it up, which is pretty much bringing your feet up towards your belly button, that is sort of coined as your lower abs. It's the same muscle, it's stapled in the middle to your body, if you like. So there's that. You didn't say hello to me like that. Oh, sorry George. No, Georgie. Sorry mate. Oh, Sarah's watching as well. Probably so she can give me some stick and tell me what a twat I look later. I've got a lovely little challenge coming a little bit later on from courtesy of Sarah. I don't know if you see me having a go at the little bring Sally up challenge for the press ups. Well, she's told me that unless I do it with one hand, I can't get into bed with her tonight. So this will happen. Right. Now, where was I? So yes, abs bringing it from your legs or your hips up towards your middle of your belly button is the lower part of the abs, and then we've got the sides, obviously your obliques, which is mainly involved in the twisting, turning nature of your body. And hello Nim, good to see you mate. Just quick recaps, just talking about different areas of abdominals and different movements that's brought in. We need something from the uppers, something from the lowers, and something for the sides. So the obliques then, kind of 2 jobs they have. Number 1 of just twisting you around. So if you just stood still and you were in a turn, or even just rolling out of bed, you know, that twisting nature, they work together. You've got something internal, you've got 2 muscles in the obliques. Internal, thank you Nim. Internal obliques and external obliques. Now, think of them like this. If this is your body here, they sit on both sides. And you've got your external obliques up here and your internal obliques up here. That's not quite perfect anatomy, but it's easier to think about like this. Now, they work in conjunction. If you were to twist and turn this way, you'll find lower ab on this side, upper external ab on this side will work together, and these will work together. So you need to incorporate some sort of twisting action to fully fire up your obliques, but then to really specifically hit for the aesthetics, the ego of making them look good, you really want to stick in some extra external oblique work, which is sort of side bends. Imagine yourself just stood up with a heavy bag in one hand, bending over to the side to place it on the floor and then pick it back up again. That's the rough movement there. So straight away we've got at least 3 or 4 exercises you want to do in a complete ab exercise sesh. I will go through a few different exercises here and then put together some little exercises I think work well together. And then let's, by the end of this, see if we can have a bit of a regime put together, a routine, if you like, that you can take away and do yourself. So obviously I'm laying on the floor here because this is where it's going to happen. Right, I'm just going to twist this around to the side so that I can get more of a... You can't turn your phone while recording. That's so annoying. It says you can't turn your phone whilst recording. Alright, no worries, I'll just move back more. Now, that's good enough. So what I want to work with is, if this is your belly button, this is the middle of your body. Everything up here then is about bringing you up towards your belly button. Now, forget sit-ups. A full sit-up is not abdominals. Yeah, they're involved a little bit, but you're primarily hitting your hip flexors, because to fully sit up, you are flexing the hip here to do a full sit. The movement is coming from here, okay? Whereas abs really want to be moving from about here. Think about your spine. Every inch pretty much is a vertebrae. Well, that's a hinge, that's the bending point, and the muscles that traverse over a joint is the muscle that's working. So if we want to work with that six-pack area above the belly button area and then below, we have to bend in the middle of that area, not where the hips are. Okay, so that's hip flexors, forget that. So a half sit is my favoured position for that six-pack area, okay, which will look like this. I want to sit down on the floor, arms out nice and straight. I'm going to be on top of my knees, like so. I want to stretch all the way back. Can you hear me all right from back there? To make sure this all still working, because a thumbs up from somebody if you can still hear me when I'm back on the floor there. So sitting up and back down again, massively under control. Now, I'm not interested in doing lots of these. I'm interested in working the muscle tissue, okay? Thanks, Nim. So what I'm looking at doing here is finding the movement. Hello, Mark. Good to see you, mate. Finding the movement that hurts the muscle the most, that tires it out the most, fatigues it the most, because that's what I want to do. I need to get that muscle to fatigue, or else all I'm doing is moving around for a period of time. There's no benefit coming from it. So the contraction is the least important part. I'm going to contract the muscle fully until I feel like I cannot lift up anymore without going into a full sit-up. Then I'm going to hold it for a brief period of time whilst I'm continuing to breathe out. Then I'm going to slowly lower myself back down, taking yourself through the eccentric contraction part of the movement. That's when the magic works. Okay, that's when that's when the damage starts to happen. The eccentric movement. So don't just wing yourself up and down. Hello, Mark. Good to see you, buddy. Don't just wing yourself up and down through this movement, work the muscle. So let me give you a demo without talking too much again. For those that just joined in, I've just learned something again about this live videoing. I can't flip the video around to the side to see the proper width of me. It's annoying. So sorry. Hope this is good enough. I'll just move away from the camera. So contracting up, my fingertips going just over the knee. Okay, then I'm going to hold, make it hard, make it work, then slow contracting down, head to the floor, power up, hold, make it work, slowly go through the eccentric. Up, hold, down. I'm going to breathe out on the way up. I'm going to hold at the top till I finish breathing out. That's a real key thing, okay, is the breathing. If I don't breathe out on the way up through the movement, then number one, if you don't breathe, you're not providing the fuel for your muscle tissue, the oxygen, okay? Through the hardest movement, you want to breathe out. So as I'm coming up, I want to breathe out all the way. And then when I'm holding at the top, I'm just continuing to breathe out until I've run out of air. When I've run out of air, then as I go down, I'll suck it back in again. Making that distinction of using the breathing that way or not, as soon as you try it, you'll know why. I won't need to explain it anymore. You realize, oh, it's a lot harder. Because your diaphragm, your top roof cylinder of your abdominal cylinder, the ceiling of your abdominal cylinder, and you're predominantly using the rectus abdominalis at the front there. If we don't focus on how the breathing is happening, because the diaphragm's getting put through its paces from you being moved around, it kind of does what it wants. So by forcing your abs to breathe, forcing yourself to breathe how you want, you just put more strain on that whole abdominal cylinder. It makes it harder. But also it forces you to keep fueling the muscle tissue, okay? So from here, what I would do is I would go at it until it gets super hard and when I struggle to reach the tops of my knees. When that happens, that's when it's time to move on. Not because I've done 10, 20, 1,000, whatever. It's because I've now achieved what I started this exercise to do. Now, if you're particularly strong with your abs, then what I tend to do is I pre-exhaust them. I will just go up and I will hold and I'll try to maintain normal breathing until it starts to get really hard, and then I'll start my training. So it'll be more like this. I'll be here for quite a while, but if I just keep holding here, I'll probably find within 40 seconds to 60 seconds maximum, I'll hit my lactate threshold and it will start to be really hard. And I can already feel it start to burn. I'm maintaining normal breathing. Just relax. And when it starts to get to the point where it's really hard, I'm going to speed this up. Let's pretend it's now. And now I'm going to come down and then bang straight into it. Breathing out all the way. Sucking it back in. Breathing it out all the way. I don't know if you heard that. That was Sarah running away screaming from a bee. Such a gay. You know, the big fluffy cuddly bees that people love. Right, so if we take that as exercise 1, that's taking care of 30% at most, you know, of your abdominals. And then we're going to move on to your lower abs. It's the same muscle, okay? Rectimus abdominal is pretty much working. It's the same muscle. A little bit more help from the internal obliques here, but it's about involves moving the hips, rotating the hips, the pelvis. It's about doing what's known as a posterior pelvic tilt. So it's really important to understand the importance of your pelvis in relation to doing your abs. Okay, now actually, let me get into a position where you can see my wrist here is a really good explanation of what the hips are doing, because let me pick some of it around. It's a little bit easier if I can elevate. Now, if we say this is my hips, okay, my pelvis, and these are my legs, my feet here, head here. If I posterior tilt, which is to roll it in so the top of your hips is coming in towards you, if I do that, this is the natural arch of your back, okay, your spine, your lower lumbar, your lower back. Watch what happens to this gap here as you posterior tilt. It moves in, okay? This is really important. This is what you want to be doing. You want to be, one, to be taking some pressure off the spine, but two, to be really engaging the depth and the foundation of those abdominal muscles. So you want to be rotating that all the way in. Now when you're doing your upper ab stuff, your half sits, that's a real important key that you want to be working on. When you're in that position there, you want to be rolling your hips in towards you. And hello Tracy, good to see you again. You want to be rolling your hips in so it pushes your small back flat onto the floor. The only thing that's happening to do this is your abs. It's your abs that's making this happen. So without doing any movement at all, just simply putting yourself into the correct starting position, you're already firing up and working your abdominals. So first movement, posterior tilt. I'm going to show you the movement of my hips here. So let me lift this up here. So the hips, as I can twist in and out, it's this bit here we're watching. That pushes it back and that comes in. So the top of your hips is what direction that goes in. If you forget what's posterior and what's the other way, anterior to the front, posterior to the rear. So to roll your top of your hips to the back, that's the posterior tilt. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So on the floor, let me bring this back down onto here again so we can see. I'm going to lift the t-shirt up so you can see the arch. So the arch here, I can get my hand all the way underneath, nice and easy. But if I then twist my hips in, that's solid. I now can't get in there. So I know this is nice and engaged, and this is already working. It's nice and hard. So from here, as I go up and do my half set, that's a real key important part. Now, that movement that we just started working with there, the posterior tilt of the hips, or the tilting of the pelvis, that is a fundamental movement of the lower abs. So when we come into working with your lower abdominal area, it's all about focusing on what's happening there. Now, most people will be incredibly weak on this part of movement. Usually, quite simply, because unless you train it quite often, what reason is there for it to be strong? It's like everything. Don't get down on yourself just because you feel like you aren't very good at something. That's why you're doing it. Okay, it's the training. So to build this up, we're simply going to find where on the levels of complete beginner to Olympian, we're all somewhere here, okay? Where are you? And that's where your journey starts, and then we start progressing along. It doesn't matter who's in front of you in that journey, who's behind you, who's better than you, who's not. It's just a personal thing, isn't it? So you find out where you are on that scale, and then just tomorrow and next week just be a little bit further nearer to the Olympian status, okay? Time goes by, whether you like it or not, make sure you're getting better as it does. So, for the rears, that's what I'm going to do here. It's all about bringing your feet in towards you. You're rolling your hips towards you, your knees coming in towards your face. Now this action here, this is the lower part. Okay, so here's your belly button here, it's all this lower part here. Let's be honest, that's the bit you hate on yourself, isn't it? It's so common. Even people I've seen that have said you've got quite a nice 4 or 6 pack, but you go below that belt line, you go below that belly button, not many people are happy with it. But it's only because you haven't probably spent a dedicated amount of time on it. So let's do that. We're going to start off with the easiest part of that movement first, which is keeping your feet down on the floor and just working on that posterior pelvic tilt, PPT. Okay, so I'm kind of really annoyed that I can't tilt this to the side. Are you sure there's no way I can do this? It's so annoying. Okay, let me try and do it at an angle. Right, your hips, your feet are on the floor, they stay there, okay? Roll the hips in and relax. Roll the hips in and relax. And that movement there, just that simple action here of rolling in, lifting that gap up, pushing it back down again, like a rolling pin, that's the movement. And for many people that will be quite difficult. To make it very slowly, harder and harder, incrementally add some weight onto it, you simply move your feet further away. I need a cameraman. Further your feet move away, the more weight comes onto it, because your legs get dragged into the movement. Can you see as I'm tilting my hips in, my legs get moving? So you want to move your feet further and further away. If you can get your feet out completely straight and still do it, then we need to look at taking your feet off the floor, elevating off the floor, loading all the weight of your legs onto your hips. Now your legs weigh a lot, okay? No matter who you are, legs is a heavy part of the body, so don't expect to just do this. And I would say most people cannot do it, okay? So don't feel bad about it. Hello Danny, good to see you on here, mate. Most people cannot keep a good strong posterior pelvic tilt on their pelvis and lift the legs off the floor. So don't go into it expecting to. All I want you to start with is just actually bring your knees all the way into your face. As explained, I started with the camera portrait up and down, and now it won't let me switch. That was stupid, wasn't it? So here we go. I'll move away so you can see. By pulling your legs all the way in, the nature of pulling your knees in is already pelvic tilting you posteriorly, okay? It's already giving that posterior pelvic tilt. So actually, by having your knees in here, it's easy. But the moment you start taking it away, you're starting to add via leverage, all that weight onto it is wanting to pull the small of your back up. The exercise is not trying to move your feet in and out. It's trying to keep the posterior tilt, meaning your small of your back stays glued to the floor. Your leg movement is purely the weight. It's the stack system on a machine. If you go into a gym, you go in the machine, you put your pin in, take it out, go a bit lower, go lower, heavier and heavier and heavier. That's what you're doing with your feet. So you're going to very slowly move your feet out, adding weight on literally every inch or every centimetre or two you move your feet or knees further away. It gets dramatically harder. So you're going to go slow, steady, trying to force your posterior tilt to remain, okay, to keep your hips rotated in towards you. The minute you lose that battle and you cannot keep it down there and you start to lose that fight, that's when you stop. So the moment your hips get pulled forward, stop, pulling these back into your face, reset and go again. If you don't, all you're going to be doing is wrenching that small of your back up and just putting pressure on the external side of your spine. It's not what you're here to do. Unless you think you came here to damage your spine, it's not the move, or not the desired move you want to do. It just means, okay, on the scale of starting here and Olympian here, you've found where you are, and that's your limit. You've worked to your limit, realised that's it, that's the end of your repetition. Go back, start again. Go back, start again. You keep doing it until you'll feel it, until you feel like you can't do it anymore. That could be 1 rep, 1,000,000 reps, doesn't matter when it is. You just find your point and then you stop. So let me do a load of those, and I'll move away far enough from the camera so you can hopefully see the whole thing. Maybe if I put it up here, it will help. Yes, nice. Okay. So I squeeze it out, slowly, 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 still glued into the floor, and out. Start to lose the battle, it pops up, put it straight back in again. You can put your hands down and just use this as an anchor point. For me personally, I just move them out of the way and just focus on holding it nice and tight. So out, hold, and in. For a lot of you it might be more like this. Out, and back in again. And back in again. Don't expect to be able to do much. It's very difficult unless you are extremely good. And well done you. Okay, so it's easy, it's simple, it's just being specific with the movement. So we've got your half sits, we've got your reverse crunch, that's what it's called. Then we'll move on to something for your obliques, for your sides. So we're going to go with, there's a couple of different options. If you've got some equipment, I love a side bend, but I'm trying to do things where you're not going to a gym, we're all sat at home. So I'm trying to things where you don't need equipment, so we won't bother. We'll do some side taps, which will be like this. You're going to be in the position, your hands round to the side, 90-degree bend here, your foot is over there. I want you to reach around and tap it, round, tap, 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 tap. So I'm held up off the floor with my upper body, okay, a little bit closer, not just laying back, I'm coming up a bit like a half sit, okay, my shoulder blades are off the floor, and I'm pulling hard and reaching down, just reach for it, reach for it, reach, reach, reach. If it's too difficult for you, you simply pull your feet in closer to your bum. Obviously the further your feet are away from your bum, the harder it's going to be, the further you've got to reach. Let me sort of show you side on this way. So it's up, round, 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 like so. If you've got some equipment, to be honest, you can just grab anything. It's a heavy bag. It's anything that weighs. You don't need an awful lot, 10, 15 kilo or so. And then a side bend will be 2 seconds, I'll grab my little kettlebell. Right, so with some weight, you're going to grab hold of it, step back, nice and upright to the side, lean it down. Go as far as you can, you'll get pretty much to the knee, and then rip it back up and go down to the other side, all the way down to the knee. So from one side, up, down to the other side. Again, hold the contraction, so rip it up, this is working. Hold the contraction, make it work, and then slowly, eccentric contraction all the way down to the other side. Rip it up, hold, and back down again. What you're trying to do again here is create a hard movement. You're trying to put the muscle through its paces. You're not just winging it from side to side to side. As you lift that weight up on one side and reach down to your other knee, you can explode into it, but when you get there, you need to stop and to grab hold of it and stay still for a second. Give it time for the muscle to pull, okay? Hold and then slowly ease it back in again. I kind of imagine whatever weight is in my hand, I'm laying it gently down onto a bit of thin ice. You're not sure if it can take the weight. Rip it up and repeat. Now, you're not standing up straight. A lot of people I see doing this. They bend down and they just stand up, like they're completely stood up straight, as if they're normally stood here. The idea is to contract the muscle fully. Stretching it, that's only a half rep, you're only halfway through the movement. Contract it over hard, okay? And also, you're not leaning forward. If I do it from the side, I'm not coming in, I'm not going down and up. It's to the side, up, down, as if you're between two walls and you can't lean forward or back. It's just making the sides work, okay? Putting them through their paces. If you got weight, I love that. I mean, that's a really, really good one. What I find is it's about hitting fatigue. So just like you do with the other two I was explaining about, you kind of going for a feeling, not a number. Do the same thing on this. But they're really resilient. Your abs are resilient. They're working constantly from the moment you wake up and get out of bed to the moment you go back to bed again. They don't get a rest like other muscles can. You've got sore chest, shoulders, arms. You can take it easy, you can not use it, but you're always using your abs. The minute you move, you turn around. You're laughing, you're breathing, coughing, everything. The abs are always working. So they've actually evolved over your life to be very resilient. They can take a lot of battering. Got a lot of endurance in them. So what I tend to do with those in particular, I'll go at that and say, right, I'm going to do 20 reps each side 3 times around non-stop. Okay, no stopping. I'm going to get to it. Now, one or two things will happen. Either you'll achieve it and you'll get all those done, or you won't. Now, the best one of those two options is the one where you won't, because if you achieved it, that says, okay, what I set out to do, 3 sets of 20 on each side, I was able to do that. Well, your muscles are just going to say, that was hard, I could do it. What's the point in developing and evolving to be stronger? They can already do what you're asking them to do. So actually, the session where you try to reach your goal of a number or whatever, and you didn't manage to get there, that's training. That's you trying to do something you can't do. And that's when you'll start really seeing development of increased strength, increased endurance, or increased speed, whatever it is you're pushing towards. That's when it will come. So if you did do that, let's just say you are on your 18th rep of your last set, you know at that point whether or not you can do those extra 2. Don't stop. Just don't stop. Just all I see is, personally, if I'm at that situation, I think, right, well, I misread the situation here. I guessed what sort of weight I could do for that sort of repetitions, and I got it wrong. So it's only a matter of time before you fatigue out. You can't even just pick up a cotton bud and keep doing that all day. At some point, the muscle will get tired and it will fatigue, and you'll lose. So keep going. It's not going to be too far. If I'm at 18 and I think I'm going to do more, I'm just going to keep going and just keep going. Pump until it gets to the point where you can't take it anymore. That means you haven't wasted all your time. Don't waste time on anything. But it also means that I'll remember that, because I'm not just doing this randomly. Next time I will remember that and think, right, to be honest, I did that with, what did I have? I had a 24 there, and I was doing 20 reps for 3 sets, and I managed to do it easy. Okay, something needs to be pushed up. I could stay with the same weight, and instead of doing 20s, maybe I'll do 40s. I'll double it. God, there's no way I'll be able to do twice the amount, surely. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'll do 4 sets of it as well. So I'm going to do 40 reps. One hand, change 40 reps the other hand, and I'm going to do it 4 times around, non-stop. At some point now, I would hope that I would fatigue and fail before the end of that, and if I did, that's the session. That's good. If I don't, okay, well, I upped the reps last time and the sets. Maybe this weight's just not heavy enough anymore to challenge me. So then that would be the next thing to put up. That's the way I would always do it. Don't just think, make it heavier, make it heavier, make it heavier. Push the durations up, push the intensity up, okay? Maybe have a longer hold on each one. Maybe say, all right, I'll stick with 20, but I'll do a 4-second hold on every contraction first. It's better to work that way, because if you just keep pushing the weight and weight and weight, then you can run the risk of starting to smash other tissues like your tendons that's holding muscles to your bone, or your muscles, or your bones, or the ligaments, or something else that's not the muscle will break down. The longer you spend at a weight going at it, the whole body is getting stronger, and it's giving it the time for everything to develop along with it. Also, in a movement like that, actually I don't like to load heavy. I mean, this is a 24 kilo kettlebell. It's just because the kettlebell I've got here to hand. I don't like doing it this heavy. The maximum I'd do, normally I would grab a 20k plate. Reasons being, is if you think about what's happening on the spine here, which you've got here, on the inside, the upper spine, running up and down here, stands up. And all I'm doing is bending over it. So if you think about those places there, you've got your vertebrae, and then you've got your cartilage disc inside. inside and your vertebrae stacked up, what you do is just squeezing it either side. I don't want to load unnecessarily too much weight onto that, and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing at it. Because the nature of this exercise does really involve a bit of bending on it, it's unnecessary. I'm now starting to move outside of just training to being like, is it unnecessary to risk that level? Yeah, it is, because I have other options. I could just simply stick with that weight. I could lower the weight and make it a lot harder anyway, get the same goal, fatiguing out. I just need to do more, put more holds in it, put slower eccentric contractions onto it. You know full well from just doing normal sit-ups or reverse crunches, abs, whatever on the floor with no added extra weight, it's already hard. And if it's not, you're not really cool and really good at it, you just forgotten how to make it hard on yourself. There's not a fitness guru Olympian in the world that can't find good, strong, basic ab exercises on the floor hard, because you make it hard, okay? It's not the weight. It's not one of those things where I'm harping on, that's fine. Right, I'm talking to myself here because no one's watching, so this is something that's going to be stuck on my timeline, and hopefully later on you'll be watching it and learn from it. I'm really annoyed about the angle. What I might do here is let me move it way back. I'm just going to do a session now. I'm not going to talk because I don't believe you'll be able to hear me very well from there, but I just want to give you an idea of how I'm going to go about it and how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to stick the camera up there on the table so you can see me, and I'm going to go through something I would like to do there. Kerry, hello, it's just me and you, no one else is here. Literally talking to myself. This would be saved and then go on the line, and maybe everyone will watch it later. So I've just gone through there, Kerry, a load of stuff that how we train abs, and you know all this because you've been through it for over a year or so personally with me. So what I was going to do to finish there is I was going to put the camera a little bit further away so you can see the whole of me, and I'm going to do a quick ab session myself now to show you what I do and how I go through it. So let me do it. I'm going to do half sits into reverse crunch, and then I think I will do something. I'll just stick to what I've just been talking about. I would do heel taps and then straight into, because I've got it here, my side bends. So that's going to be 4 exercises. I'm going to do 20 of each. Let's see if I can go through the whole lot 3 times. See how that goes. Come with me. Okie dokie. Right, so let's angle it like this. Let's have a look at that. Move my little pink horse out of the way. Okay. And here we go. it's round 2. I'm taking my top off here, not because I'm a div, right? It's because I'm massively rubbing on those side bends, and it's quite a new t-shirt, and I'm upset about that, so sorry. Winner, winner. Okay. Right, so that now is, for me, that is it. I'm going to call it a day on carrying on there, because I reached. Hey John, Dave, good to see you, buddy, and Sammy, hello mate. So yeah, I called it there because I reached the goal of what I was after there. I could just keep pushing reps if I wanted, but they were starting to be pretty rubbishy, pretty sloppy. I was not quite getting all the way to full reps because it was fatiguing out. I was struggling to hold the contraction on certainly some of the half sits. I was struggling to hold the contraction right at the top before letting it down to control because it was fatiguing. So boxes being ticked there, that's done. On the heel taps there. Again, I was struggling to really get, and I was having to use compensatory strength to just jump through and get it. It's no longer a decent exercise. So again, I've achieved the goal there of taking the muscle towards the end. So that is it. That's what I was looking for. That is where the win is. There's no point just flogging a dead horse. I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm not here to show off. I'm here for me to be on my next session better. So next week, next month, be better than I am now. It's taking it to that fatigue point that's going to do that, and then letting it repair and recover. Okay, look, that's it. I've given you an ideas there. Give it a bash, give it a go, or don't. I don't care. That's enough for me. I'm going to sign off now, because I've got a little challenge I need to do to keep Sarah happy, haven't I? So I've got to do, and I'm going to do that. I'll do it now. I'm going to do the Sally up, what's it called? Bring Sally Up challenge. One-handed press up time. So I look forward to about 20 seconds of this before I die. But challenge is a challenge.